Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Freaky, new horror comedy slasher body swap movie now out on HBO Max. A movie that I heard about, one of those movies that came out during the pandemic. I think it may have been like a one of those, premium rental deals. I don't remember how it got released during the pandemic, but it was one of the films that got released during the pandemic, and people were talking about it, and I'm sitting in my cave, just hibernating until everything seems to be over, and then just go right back into my cave because unvaccinated people are wonderful. Anyway, this movie is funny. This movie is a great blend of comedy, great blend of horror, great balance between the two, a lot of fun. You have a monster character played by Vince Vaughn, who's like a Jason type of a character. Got the mask, crazy mask. He's got the sharp object in his hand. Doesn't speak. Walking with the swiftness. If you turn your back to him, he's immediately behind you. And then it has the female character, Millie, played by Catherine Newton. Great as well. She's like a nerdy mascot for her high school. Just nothing, has her friend group who are awesome in this as well. But Vince Vaughn's character is out killing people, and a storm happens, and a magical knife, and bibbidi bobbidi boop, hocus pocus. They wake up in different bodies, and it's a fun mashup of genres. Like, you're seeing that more and more, I think. It's just the natural evolution of any kind of art form or storytelling is just the mashing up of genres. Recently, a couple years ago, it was the mashup of rap and country that spawned a hit song. I think it was Lil Nas X. There's some novelty to mashing up genres, and it's super interesting way. Similar to like the time loop movie. Mixed with horror, as in Happy Death Day 2. Very interesting premise to set a horror film. This one as well, it obviously makes for great comedy, the body swap, fish out of water type of a thing. But more so when, you have a killer, the serial killer guy, getting zapped into an attractive teenager's body. Comedy. It's similar in a lot of ways also to Jumanji, the most recent 2 installments of Jumanji. More so, I think, the second one than the first one. The first one, definitely, it's like the nerd gets put into the rock. That's kind of a big, thing. And then, of course, Jack Black is inhabited by a female. So it has that kind of similar vibe that Jumanji has. When it comes to the body swapness and the comedy of it. Really well done, especially Vince Vaughn playing a teenage girl is, just the premise is hilarious. The execution, I think, is worthy. It's a great execution as well. It was a lot of fun. Him trying to convince his friends or her friends, Vince Vaughn playing the her, I guess. Pronouns come into effect in a very crucial way. Like it's fun to see, like the new trend is to categorize every variation in human gender politics or sexual identity. There's like a rush to categorize every single iteration of human experience when it comes to genitals or what you feel like if you're a man or woman or what your sexual like there's a lot of under a microscope, that entire thing, and very interesting, but it plays a role in this movie just to avoid confusion, because they're talking about the bad guy, and it's easier to just refer to what looks like a woman as a man because it is a man trapped in a woman's body. So in some ways, it's a trans movie, transgender movie in a lot of ways, and it's hilarious. I mean, and not in like an insulting or in a way that puts them down. It humanizes in a lot of ways. It really frames it in a way with the fact that it's a body swap movie. It really frames it in a way that, it just normalizes it in the weirdest way that a horror body swap film can in some way normalize the idea of a person feeling like a different gender than what they were biologically given at birth. As far as I'm concerned, everybody should be allowed to be whatever they want to be, have sex with, as long as they're of age and of the species, have sex with whoever they want to have sex with consensually. I have a little problem with the constant need to label everything. I think fluid is kind of the best way to describe humanity in general. There's a huge gradient of possibilities when it comes to the human experience. Multiple billions of people are on the planet currently, not to mention in the past of humanity. So if you were to take all of those human lives and existences, each one would be specific, unique, no two alike. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of different kinds of people, a lot of different ways to experience this life. I'm saying this movie is funny. I'm saying this movie is also, it's got the horror. It makes fun of the horror. There's a whole gag where they're trying to hide Vince Vaughn, this giant man who is embodied by a teenage girl when he's with his friends, and they're trying to solve this curse. They're trying to reverse this curse before it's too late. But they have to hide this guy that people are on the lookout because he's known to be killing people. Giant Vince Vaughn guy. So they put a mask on him, and it's a hilarious gag, which, is making fun of the horror genre specifically because, this character started out wearing a mask. Not a hockey mask, but it's, it's got its own unique, kind of boring. I think the mask game is stepped up a bit in the Grudge franchise. The Purge, not the Grudge. The Purge has like tons of masks. I mean, whoever the art department is for the Purge, like that, the main thing is like, what cool new masks can we make? The mask that this killer starts out with looks almost like a cheap version of the mask from the movie The Mask with Jim Carrey. But anyway, the gag of him wearing the rubber Halloween mask and not being able to see out of it is hilarious because the reality of wearing any mask is that, it's not the attire you want to wear while committing murder. Not that I want to give hints of the most effective ways to end human life. For that, I would recommend just going to Texas. There's a lot of laws out there that really encourage the dispatching of human life at the very easiest ability of human ability. But yeah, Vince Vaughn is hilarious. Some great death scenes in this, as it being a slasher film. There's a scene with the shop teacher that is quite gruesome, and it's also the horror and body swapness of it plays into effect when the killer that is in the body of this teenage girl is unable to, it doesn't have the strength that he used to have when he was in the big Vince Vaughn body. And there's moments in this where, this character is going to fight people, but is getting thrown around like a rag doll because he's in a tiny little girl body. Not to say girls can't fight, but in comparison, you got a giant Vince Vaughn dude, and then you got this tiny little teenage girl. There's going to be a discrepancy in strength. Point blank, period. Hard stop. Is that what there's? So yeah, it adds a bit of comedy to that too. Another layer of just how a body swap film can affect the genre of a slasher film, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Um, there's also kind of a strange love scene because the girl who's trapped in Vince Vaughn's body has a crush on this dude, and throughout the film, she kind of opens up. It comes out their love for each other, and there's this awkward kind of back of the car scene with this teenage boy coming on to. I mean, they're having conversations with. It's like him and Vince Vaughn, but it's the girl's inside Vince Vaughn, so it's the boy talking to the girl, just wearing a Vince Vaughn suit, but still awkward to look at because it's a teenage boy talking to, a 50-year-old man. I don't know how old Vince Vaughn is, but I have to assume he's closer to 50 than he is a teenager at this point. So a little awkward. Not only, I mean, the conversation, the way Vince Vaughn plays this is so great. Like, it's believable. And in those conversations, it's believable. It's like you feel like it's this teenage boy talking to this teenage girl. It's just the girl happens to be inside a Vince Vaughn person. Little awkward, though. And then there's the kiss, which is like, okay. I mean, even if I don't like Vince Vaughn kissing any high schooler of any gender. Awkward. Adding the layers of the fact that, and it was an awkward scene in the movie too, and they played that off. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I hope more films play around with this kind of stuff. I mean, I prefer original films in general over the majority of movies that come out that are reboots, sequels, part of some overarching franchise where you have to watch all the films to understand. You got to do homework to appreciate a film these days. Or just some regurgitated, like Disney regurgitating old animated stuff into live action. That is just horrible films. So to see this is a breath of fresh air. And I've kind of gotten into horror a little bit more, especially after doing my A Nightmare on Elm Street top 5 a few months ago, watching that entire franchise for the first time. I have and watching also was it The Last Girls? I think it was called. Just a lot of fun horror movies. A new appreciation for them, especially once you kind of, after watching enough of them, you see the formula, you see the template for them, and once you see the template, you start to notice when these films play around with the template a bit and break the mold here and there. And this one does it, I think, in one of the best ways. Similar in a lot of ways to how Happy Death Day utilized the time loop type of a film to tell its horror story. But yeah, freaky, a lot of fun. If you have HBO Max, it is on there currently. But I highly recommend checking it out. One of my favorite Vince Vaughn performances. It's just so much fun to see him, just like it was in Jumanji, watching Jack Black be a teenage girl. Like, there is a level of fun watching a middle-aged man act like a teenage girl. It's a thing that I realize is a lot of fun to watch. It's just a lot of fun to watch. I don't know. But I highly recommend checking it out. It's called Freaky, or I would call it Freaky Friday the 13th. I mean, come on. The perfect build the title, the perfect description of everything. I haven't watched the Friday the 13th franchise, but I would imagine it just works. Freaky Friday, which is a body swap movie. Friday the 13th, Doug Loves Movies, build the title, what's up? Get yourself $25 in new credit when you sign up for your great new cell phone service over at Ting. Go through my link, inspireddisorder.com/Ting. Sign up now with that link, and you get yourself $25 to put towards a new device, put towards your service. But it's a great quality service that you do not pay an arm and a leg for. I love it. I've been using it for years and pay so very little. I could almost pay 2 months of my cell phone bill with $25 credit that you get for free when you go through my link, inspireddisorder.com/ting. That's TING, inspireddisorder.com/ting. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com, and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!